There's that. That. All right.
All right. They are off.
Here we go. Aileron's frozen on my screen again.
Same.
Ah.
Hopefully that
clears up and he catches up.
Mm-hmm. He's not on the stream though, so.
He's not. Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting.
He's on stream.
That's interesting. Well, back to the cargo docks. Earlier, when you may have watched MGS1, there's been some changes made since this was part of the MGS2 engine. There's a lot of stuff left over that they used. They implemented lockers into this run, which is very nice.
Up the M9 in the dock as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can get items from the enemies like a ration that Blue just got. But there's not much to do down here.
No. It's basically another minute or so of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's been cut down from the original as well, from 2 minutes after the codec finishes, rather.
While we're waiting in the docks, I want to mention that the bid war is officially over for Maryland Otacon for this race, and Otacon won with a strong showing of over $100. Thank you guys for your generosity. It's really appreciated.
That just means we get to go as fast as possible.
Could we get yet another world record tonight? We'll see. These would be the two men capable of it.
Definitely.
Snake is cold, shivering.
This is Alaska, you know.
Elevator coming down for both of them. They just have to avoid getting spotted by this guard. And they're both on safely.
And neither of them had Disc 2 in, which is very important.
Yes, absolutely. So we're coming up to the heliport here. We're going to be having our M9 out, and we're going to be firing a set of shots in a timely manner to avoid a cutscene when we get close to the vent and the camera.
It's going to save us a couple seconds from Snake saying a surveillance camera.
And one little tidbit, Aerlien likes to run on New Game Plus for the tuxedo, so.
Who doesn't enjoy a good tuxedo run? Well done.
Absolutely.
And you're going to notice this earlier that they did in MGS2 is they're going to mash the R button on the GameCube to unequip and re-equip the M9 over and over again. It resets their model to move slightly faster while crawling.
Yeah, the ideal mash speed is about, around 8 presses a second or so. If you mash too fast, it's not going to be as effective. If you mash too slow, obviously, you're not going to go as fast either.
Comes very handy.
And it's a lot harder to do on
It's
a lot harder to do on a GameCube controller than you'd think as well.
I can attest to that. If you're doing PB attempts of this game and you're resetting over and over, it's physically demanding to mash that button specifically. Everybody's got a different grip to doing so. So there really isn't a advised grip. There's just find what's comfortable for you and pray that you can do it fast enough and efficiently.
Alright, we're coming down to B1 where we're going to be meeting the DARPA chief here pretty soon. We're going to be going into another vent and having some more mashing.
Luckily, there's one more spot in the game where it requires a focused amount of mashing. It's still close so far, though, which is really good. I expect this to be close the entire way.
Yeah, there's really only a few key areas that can trip that up, and we'll get to those areas as they come up.
DARPA Chief cutscenes. Significantly paced by the GameCube's loading time. Sometimes for me personally, it feels like an eternity.
Yeah, it depends on your GameCube/Wii model and
Mhm.
your disk condition. That can greatly affect load times.
It's good to know. Clipped into the DARPA Chief corpse.
Yeah, we're just waiting for this door to open, and then we're gonna have a little guard encounter.
Where the
Mhm.
run really begins.
So they're gonna try to get 2 headshots basically lined up with each other, and then get a third off to the right a little bit, grab SOCOM ammo out of the locker before the cutscene plays.
Aileron does have a little strat of grabbing it first and just going.
Yeah, and Aerlien went prone, so he didn't get a chance to go get it.
Is another quick opportunity toward the end of the guard rush, though, if you can go fast enough. For the most part, we're just gonna stand at the door and just pop the cap in their heads and be done with it.
Yeah, ammo's gonna be a bit of a concern for Aerlien. He's gonna have to retreat and go get that ammo from the locker, so that's gonna waste a little bit of time.
This is
depending
one
on
of the.
how Meryl helps.
This is definitely one of the scenarios where first-person view, at least in my opinion, really broke Shadow Moses. So you could just stand there and do it this way instead of, as you would in the original, just wait for them to come in and take them out with Meryl, at least from a casual perspective. Good times.
And
Still-
you'll see shortly another exploit of first person in this game with the Ocelot fight coming up. It's clearly the hardest fight in the game.
Oof. So many runs lost to Ocelot.
Still pretty tight so far, though, which is always good.
I want to say they're about tied since Aerlien's timer is 2 seconds ahead, and he's about a second or so ahead, so at least to the eye, so that's
Yeah.
interesting. We'll see how it goes in the first real 2 boss fights here. So they're going to grab some C4, and what they're going to do is they're going to place it in a way so that they can go up against the wall and damage boost into the next area slightly faster. And Blue's going to have his rations equipped. Aerlien living dangerously.
All right, on to the Ocelot fight. So we're going to first person, and then we're going to just shoot Ocelot. Wait for the iframes to time out, and just shoot 3 times. Both pretty clean.
Very clean. Oh, Blue missed a shot, so. Also clean, though. That fight could go a lot worse if your aim is just off.
Mm-hmm.
Just another situation where first person just makes a part of the game trivial.
Absolutely. So we're going to be calling Meryl now, so she can open up the cargo door on the first floor.
Yeah, you want to do it before entering the elevator, because at least that way when you get up to that floor, it's just going to open as soon as the elevator gets to the floor. And then we'll move on from there into the laser room.
Which that can be very, very tricky, depending on which strategy you choose to take.
There's a few. And if I remember correctly, Aerlien goes for the hard one.
Yeah, he goes for the YOLO roll,
The YOLO roll.
tongue twister.
Yeah. Elevators
thing
are a little
here-
more friendly here. Go ahead.
So key thing here is you want to answer this codec call immediately. That way you can get into the laser room as fast as you can and start your roll. Because if you don't answer the call fast enough, then you're going to hit lasers.
He's gonna roll and he's gonna
Oh.
mash R, and he got. Blue got it.
Blue got it.
Blue's got it.
Green did not.
Oof. Blue takes the lead. That roll is
It is very precise.
annoyingly difficult. So Aerlien has no choice but to take a death here. So he's smoking his life away in the gas-filled room. Meanwhile, we're moving on to the tank over on Blue's side of things, and you're going to roll specifically right there so that he hits the mound right there. And we're going to stand at a specific spot so that the tank's movement will be very limited, or it won't move at all.
And this hitbox for the gunner is very, very weird, to say the least. It's kind of tricky to hit him at times, and it's not as easy as it looks.
Aerlien can go with the safe backup to grab the suppressor.
That's smart. You don't need a second death at this point.
No. It's definitely the safest and more consistent. It's definitely not the fastest. But once you reset, I would not say going for that roll is an ideal.
Blue's having a little bit of a hard time getting the final shot off, and he got a body shot instead, so
Oof.
gonna delay it even more.
Gives Aerlien a shot to catch up here a little bit. But that's pretty much the tank fight. It wasn't as kind as it could be.
The interesting thing will be, since now that Aerlien has the suppressor, certain strategies may change later on due to the lack of a warning shot with the SOCOM.
Yeah, what you just saw Blue there is he mashed R1 with the chaff equipped while holding down left on that side, and you're going to throw the chaff immediately. This will skip the codec call with the colonel telling you, hey, you can't use weapons on this floor. And it's just faster overall. Because once you hit the ground, that codec activates, period.
Pretty clean fight by Aerlien, so he's made up a little bit of ground.
Mm-hmm.
And he will try to do the same thing and clip through the door here, throw a chaff, and avoid a codec call.
And you want to run right at the guard, because if you veer, at least in my experience, that guard will hit you with his master key. And like I said, once you hit the ground, there's that codec call. And that shot will take you down.
Usually about 10 seconds or so, give or take.
It's not fun. And bam. Swap our equipment real quick, close enough to the control panel. It saves you about maybe half a second to a second.
Blue just getting rid of that last chaff to get it out of inventory. He's coming up on Ninja. Aerlien not that far behind.
Definitely still anyone's game.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's still close enough. Alright, so the ninja fight is actually a lot easier now than it was in the past. Thanks to a phase 1 lock, so to speak, that has been discovered. Basically, all you're going to do is punch Nikita. I've not seen this strat before with the SOCOM.
Yeah, this is a little bit newer. It's a little bit faster, and it's easier for some. It just depends. So you basically just keep him in this first phase. That way he doesn't go on to other phases, have more dialogue, stuff like that. You can't kill him in this phase, so you have to let him go to the second phase when you have one hit to go, basically, and then you can bring his health bar to 0 at that point.
Mm-hmm. Whereas the strat that I'm used to is instead of you'd do punch Nikita, and then you'd actually fire a Nikita missile at him, and just repeat
that's
until phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This boss has seen so many revisions at this point. It's pretty insane. And it's thanks to a lot of effort by all the runners, especially Furry.
Another perk about New Game Plus, different ninja outfit. Looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Ninja for Aerlien, so still pretty close.
I think he's caught up a little more too.
Mhm.
Maybe by about a second or so, it feels. As we mash through our Otacon cutscenes here, gotta go meet up with Meryl, whose codec mysteriously lost connection because it broke. Which is interesting. When I played this game, I was like, oh, well, it's some inner ear thing. It can't break. Oh, I'm wrong. Just Snakes is special.
Blue grabbing those extra stuns for the tower climb later on.
Tower climb is not kind in this game. There's one or two guards in particular that are, well, not my favorite, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
She just walk up, knock, and turn around, put into her line of sight, and then beat her to the women's room. Blue, you perv.
Alright, so Blue is on his way to Psycho Mantis. This fight has seen a lot of revisions in recent memory as well. I don't know, Plywood, if you want to explain a little bit about the potential new setup.
Yeah, so I think both the runners will be using the new couch setup, which has been developed by several of us, myself, Wall Guy, and Aerlien and Blue. So the manipulation starts with going to the right part of the couch after we smack Meryl with the Nikita, because that is the fastest way to knock her out. Go to the right side of the couch, turn around, and then crouch shot with the M9. This is going to be a non-lethal setup for this fight. Crouch shot with the M9, stand up, punch him, and then roll to the door. Sounds like a lot, and it is, but this is a very fast method and potentially can allow you to stun lock Mantis before he even uses chairs, but unfortunately, Blue missed the shot. This is a really tricky setup. Let's see if Aerlien can get it. Yeah, the idea is you trank him in his weak point, which is his right leg, then go up to him, punch him, roll to the door, and he'll spawn right at the top very quickly. And if you do a certain amount of damage, the first Meryl possession will be skipped. They'll be with one punch and the rest crit shots, and Aerlien miss as well. It is really tricky to hit that shot. There's an easier method with this that uses a SOCOM shot to start, but it's not as fast. This fight can really go a lot of different ways depending on your level of comfort and what is good for you speed-wise. Blue getting that nice headshot on Mantis. Get two more crit shots. And that's the fight. Yeah. I would say this is definitely one of the harder fights in the game, especially on Extreme, where you have even less time to aim in first person. Very technical fight.
You've got what on Extreme? A second, if that?
It's like half a second, yeah.
Oof.
That's ridiculous.
Good thing is that you don't really need to be in FPV all the time since he has iframes, but it still doesn't make the job any easier.
All right, into the caves we go, and apparently these dogs know some crazy hurricane kicks.
Yeah, they can do all sorts of crazy, weird movements, helicopter movements, just unexplainable things, and they can attack from anywhere and everywhere. They're just a nightmare to deal with.
And then what Blue did, what you're going to see Aileron do if you need an instant replay, is they shot Meryl and then rolled through her to skip a cutscene. This is Snake. I thought you were good with dogs. Meanwhile, he's getting attacked by two full-grown wolf dogs.
Meryl.
And she's kind of making fun of him. And they changed the mine pattern here. Instead of being able to run straight through, you you have to go all the way to the right. You go around that way. Which the wolf fight.
So they're both going to be needing to go back and get a sniper rifle, but in Twin Snakes, you don't have to go all the way back to the armory to get the PSG-1. In B1 of the nuke building, you can get the PSG-1T. So that's what these two runners are going to go get just to save time, and that's pretty much it.
Just one of the additions, since they added non-lethal weapons, they also threw in a PSG-1T. And lucky for us, they threw it right back in the same room. You got the Nikita just on the other side of the room. And now we have the card key to get it. And you should just be able to just make a beeline for this. Every once in a while, you might get caught by the guard or seen by the guard in general, but
Yeah,
typically
the field of vision right there is a little weird just because that little half wall where the little stairs are right there. If your movement is a little bit off, you will get seen.
Luckily, there is a backup for it. You can just wait for him to look over there and leave afterwards, or trank him when you exit the room. But as long as your movement is clean, it should be no big deal.
both theirs was. Check the dog again.
Ooh, and Blue gets hit.
Eek. That's what we mean. Look at this dog's movement. Oh, no, he didn't see too much of it. That's unfortunate, but when you do see it, it is rather funny to see from a viewer perspective. Alright, so just immediately equip the PSG-1T and just have at it. You're aiming for the head if you can.
Wow, that was a perfect fight by Blue.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you could ask for any better.
No. She cooperated beautifully. See if Aerlien can get similar luck. Oh, nope, he's having a hard
God,
time.
that sensitivity. It's so rough sometimes.
Sometimes it's a little oversensitive.
Yeah, you really gotta feather your movement with the rifle scope, or else you could get wildly in the wrong direction.
She's not cooperating as nicely with Aileron here. She likes to hide behind that pillar.
And that's Wolf for Aerlien, so lost a decent amount of time, but it could all change here coming up.
Which
Yeah, there's
strat do you
still
think
a
they're
fair
going to go
bit
for
of,
on the escape from the cell, I wonder?
Oh, that is like the ultimate run question in a race. It's like the meta of this game when you're racing. You gonna go for that or no?
There's a few you can do, and
I think they're both going to do it. I think they're both going to go for that lottery roll.
Aerlien just said YOLO, so
the lottery roll.
There you go.
That witch! She took my clothes!
So yeah, maybe we should explain what's about to happen. This is arguably the hardest trick in this game, period. They're going to try to break a story flag by rolling into the equipment
Shut up in there, will ya?
in such a way that
Shut up in there, will ya?
we won't get stopped by Johnny getting sick, and we can just exit the room. And that's going to mess up the story flag so that when we get back to the underground passage where we fought Wolf 1, we'll be able to skip the cutscene and the codec. This can save like 20 seconds. It's pretty big, but if you mess it up, not only going to have to sit through that cutscene and codec, but you're also going to have to sit through Johnny going to the bathroom. So it's a big risk, but a big reward. Now, there is an easier version of it, but is not as lucrative of a reward, but it's pretty much guaranteed 100%.
Yeah, and the other method, you just kind of throw them to the ground outside the room and then leave the room, then come back in. It saves about 10 seconds.
Where? Right. Same MO, just equip the ketchup and lie down in it. Always wondered what it's like, but I'm not crazy enough to try it.
Someday, maybe I'll try it.
Very sticky.
What the hell?
All right, we'll see what Blue does.
You're gonna
he's
get up
going
as soon as
safe.
he clicks. Oof.
He's gonna go for the safer method, and a little bit of stuttering there. That's dead zones on the controller.
Oh man, that is not a good time to get dead zones for sure. But he still got it.
Yeah, he
He still
got
got
it.
it.
So.
Yeah, he's fine. Cool.
So that's the safer version.
What do you guys think of these analog dead zones, I have to ask?
Personally, I don't get them enough to screw with me to actually have an opinion on them. I do see where they do cause a ton of problems, though.
In the limited time I've run on GameCube, it's been a hassle for me since I mostly run on emulator, but yeah, it's not fun.
They're in the emulators too, aren't they?
Yes.
Oh,
Kind of.
jeez.
Yeah, you can get them in emulator. And here's Aerlien. Oh, he was so close. The hitbox is so picky.
Oh,
So picky.
you can't get any closer than that.
It's such a tight window. Such a tight window, and you have to hit just the right angle to be able to land on that box. It's not a huge window. It was a very good try.
Just wow.
But we're going to see the difference here when they both get to the passage.
You gotta do the same trick we did the first time through here. You gotta clip through the door again, throw the chaff, and be on your way. Because just because you skipped it once doesn't mean you don't have to skip it again. It would still be active. So just a simple repeat.
Aerlien going through the canyon now. You got to take a somewhat of a specific line, that way you don't get spotted by these guards, but he's out of there pretty safe.
A lot of these areas in these games is a game of lines. If you take the right line, you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
The rhyme was not intentional.
All right, Blue getting back in the caves. For this time, he has the handkerchief equipped, so the wolves aren't going to bother him at all.
The wolves don't like men. I've seen together. Say they didn't have a problem with Meryl either. But now
Right.
you smell like Sniper Wolf.
Smells like diazepam.
Well, then he should have been fine on the way through because he had some diazepam.
So yeah, we're gonna see Blue just literally walk by the blood.
It's not important to him anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
He's out for, I don't know, personal satisfaction instead of revenge of some kind.
I mean, it's fitting. You did submit to the torture immediately, so.
Mm-hmm. Disc swap. A lot earlier in this game than it is in the original. Whereas it would be on the blast furnace entrance.
Yep. All right,
It's just due
Aerlien
to the
coming
size
to
of the game, right?
I believe so.
That's correct.
Very specific grenade toss here. And when the guards get to the grenade, it just so happens to go off. Such a satisfying feeling when you hit that trick. Gives you a few floors to breathe.
Aerlien going through his cutscene that he was trying to skip. The codec he was trying to skip, but unfortunately didn't get it. But still not all that far behind.
No, he could still come back and take it. That stun you definitely want to throw in the middle of that room. Very important. Didn't seem to help out a ton. He still ended up getting shot. The stair climb is much more unforgiving in Twin Snakes than it is in the original, I think.
I can attest to that.
Good thing we grabbed
those stuns.
Why he grabbed the extra ones.
That's right.
Sometimes the aim in this game is finicky even if you do auto aim. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Snake auto aim at a guard and still miss. Snake is the worst aimbot in history.
Alright, that's the stair climb for blue. He'll be coming up on the rappel next.
Which is a bit different than the original as well. They didn't seem to really care for it, as we will explain when we see it. Rather short.
And optionally, you can do it without the rope and then just hang and drop down, but that is very, very risky.
Oof.
It's also slower.
How you feeling, lucky punk?
So yeah, Blue and Aerlien are going to go for something we call the girder glitch, and that involves landing on a certain part of the girder on the opposite side of where you can walk, and the game getting confused thinking you can walk there but you shouldn't. And they're going to try to mount it by pressing B at just the right time to launch themselves down really quickly. Blue
Down he
did it.
goes. Done. You could tell they just really did not care about the rappel section.
They're just like, let's just throw a cutscene in there.
It's like half the length. And so you're gonna take a shot at the guard, and you'll know when you hit him. You'll see the exclamation points. Cook the stun immediately. Toss it, and by the time they come back, it goes off. Very well executed by Blue.
Yeah, coming up to his girder glitch, or his rappel. We'll see if he can get his girder glitch.
Yeah, the tricky thing with the girder glitch is you want to press that B at just the right time so you lock into place and just fall immediately.
Ring, ring. Colonel waits so long to tell us how to rappel, we've already done half the rappel section.
And Aerlien got the glitch as well.
Excellent. Alright. Blue's coming up on Tower Climb 2, which has turrets.
For the face plant.
Nothing better than eating steel for lunch.
Yeah, if you roll too early on these stairs, you will take a face plant, but it is faster than just running just straight up.
The idea is to avoid some of the turret shots as well.
Yeah, you can avoid the first turret shot, but normally just the rest. Since it's a big deal, but on extreme, we do not have that luxury.
It is rather unfortunate.
I mean, you could go for it, but that's going to make the hind really risky on extreme.
We ain't got time for risky hinds. The hind is dumb enough as it is.
Absolutely, especially in this game.
Although D-Limes, you've played both. What's dumber, the Hind or the Harrier?
The Hind. The Hind in this game.
At least on normal, you have rations you can use over and over. So with the Hind, you can just literally stand right on the Stinger ammo or right where you start and just hammer away.
I think it's more when he goes down and how long he stays down for is the irritating part.
Yeah, that's the big difference between normal and extreme. That he will stay down for not a lot of time on extreme, but on normal it's could be really, really slow, painfully slow. And that's why this fight has some RNG to it. You can potentially loop him in the second phase, but the execution required is really high and inconsistent. Unlike the first game where it's a breeze to loop him in the second phase of the fight.
AKA the Hind Cage.
Exactly. Ideally here Blue gets as many shots as he can before the Hind flies down.
It just seems once he goes down, he's down there for an eternity. Not to mention, if you want to know where he's popping up, you gotta keep your eyes on him. If you lose him, it can be very confusing to know where he'll pop up.
Yeah, neither of them have radar either because it saves about 3 seconds early on in the game before the codec. We have radar off.
Who wants to listen to Melee explain Soliton radar?
Not a bad fight by Blue, so
Whoa!
stay it out long.
I just flew through the building! Do you see that?
This building has a roof and nothing else. It's fine.
It's just TTS things. Who cares?
Pretty sure Snake should have died there. And Liquid. The game just should have ended right there.
GG, series over. Alright, back down we go. There's the emote I was looking for in chat. TTS face. So what you're going to see Blue do on the way down now, instead of even dealing with the turrets, he's going to try and cook a grenade at a specific point and then throw it at a different specific point to just destroy the turrets altogether. He did so correctly on set number 1 with the 4 turrets.
Got the second one.
Awesome. Sometimes it can be tricky. Like, you think you got it, and you're, you know, a couple of pixels off,
Or you throw too late and you get thrown back or something, so...
Yeah. He's
Aerlien
3 for 3.
just finishing with his fight. A little bit slower than Blue's, but...
It will work.
We'll see.
Now, Blue had an incredible Wolf 1, but Wolf 2 could affect Blue, especially since Blue admits himself that it's his weakest fight.
Yeah, Wolf 2 can be a bit of a troll. And that's no fun. And this is what that leftover C4 is going to be for, is the ambush on the elevator. You just keep your ration equipped, put it down, and set it off.
My favorite strat by far.
Oh yes. For backup, you just have a grenade in your hand and pop it. By the way, shoutouts to the best close-up on any codec ever, Otacon's face. Aerlien not opting for the grenade toss. Or unless he missed. I missed it.
I think he missed
He
it.
missed it and then went for the roll back up.
Ah. He just looks so good that it's blinding. That tuxedo man.
Sure does look good.
All right, Snake, Wolf, round 2. Just gonna camp on our ammo reload here, stack up some Phantasmins. Basically do the same thing, have at it. Ooh, he started off good, but sometimes aiming the PSG one is not the easiest thing in the world.
This is still a pretty respectable fight, though.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. I would say just a small hiccup, and I mean very small hiccup. Very good fight. On what he claims is his worst boss.
Well, if that's your worst boss, then you're doing something good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we get to the blast furnace, where this is a lot easier than the original, where we can just drop down and go inside the boiler room and just get out and be on our way. We don't have to deal with the crane or anything like that.
Easy peasy. I think at worst you have to worry about getting shot more than once. But as long as you don't take a whole lot of damage, you have nothing to worry about.
And Aerlien coming up to his wolf fight.
Let's see if she turned back on him. I think she did.
Yeah, she double backed, yep. And she can do that.
She's not the kindest. Ooh, nice single trank shot.
Not a bad recovery, though.
Good fight.
Not a bad fight.
Yeah.
A pretty quick cargo elevator fight for Blue.
But not his signature fastest version, where you avoid the final shot from the guard behind you. But that can be pretty tricky to land. So yeah, coming up, the funny thing about this Raven fight, it looks more like MGS1 PC Raven than MGS1 console Raven.
It really does.
We're just gonna sit there and take it. But on this version, unlike the PC version, we actually will take it.
Yeah, you really don't have the benefit of any form of an invincibility glitch of any kind, so this is why we grab all the rations. You just equip them and throw on your stinger and have at it. And he's a lot less iframes in this game.
Pretty clean cargo elevator fight by Aerlien.
Pretty good. Let's see how Blue chooses to take on Raven here.
It's going for those RTA strats to reduce lag. Not important when you're doing PB attempts, because the game accounts for it, but good for RTA.
I've noticed too, if you hold the Z button, there's less lag. It's interesting.
What, to go into the alternate view of the stinger?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's why I suggested it to you the other day in the first place.
Yeah.
Thought it was interesting. But yeah, make quick work, Raven. No problem. You only use one ration, which is pretty handy as well. You may need that for Rex, you never know.
He actually missed the guard and got shot.
Mm-hmm.
Aerlien coming up on his Raven fight. No
I
doubt
suspect
he'll
he'll
do
take-
the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's doing same strats as well, except he's missing a few shots.
Oof. Sometimes counting his iframes or knowing when they're going to run out can be a little tricky, but he recovered nicely.
And he didn't opt for the SOCOM ending.
And we're going to push that dying guard, and just enough so that he falls over the ledge. It's going to save a couple of seconds here on the backtracking.
You don't want to be walking over those guards when you're backtracking. It'll lose you a few seconds.
At least in this game, they improved on the backtracking as well. You don't have to go all the way back.
No, you don't have to leave the room.
Nope. And you'll see what we mean shortly. And they cut out this alert, too, from the original.
Yeah, it's really bizarre if you watch the cutscene. This is like, I know Joey watching you die, and then it's just a quiet layer. And you're just like, okay.
Am I gonna die of old age here? What's going on?
Now that drop down by blue can be very, very tricky on a GameCube controller because it likes to eat inputs at times. And if you don't hit that,
Oof.
you don't hit that thing he's on, then you're gonna die. So
Good thing about this version is the rat is always in that spot. Unless you miss.
yeah, very little rat RNG in this game, thank God.
Instead, you have a death frame when you press Y to grab the rope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you miss that rope down there, you do die. And this is another one of those weird things. You have to have the PAL key equipped. The cool thing about this version is you only have to shoot that camera once. In the original, if you opt to shoot that camera at all, you have to shoot it every single time you opt to shoot it, or you don't want it there.
And as soon as you get spotted by it, that's it, the door closes. Whereas in MGS1, you can get spotted by it, but if you get to the terminals fast enough, it won't close the door and cause basically a game over.
Right. The alert still counts. Which I find kind of fascinating for that room. Ooh,
And
that's
got the PAL key to stay up.
which is good. And this is what we mean by you don't have to backtrack. All you got to do is come over to this side of the room and shoot this pipe. One contains steam, one contains liquid nitrogen to change the card key shape really fast. It's a nice little detail they put in, which I didn't know about until maybe a year or two ago, actually.
Yeah, they keep it fairly obscure in the game as a reward, I suppose.
It's probably just there for those who are like, hey, let's explore this room. What's this do? Meanwhile, speedrunners are like, hey, sweet. I don't have to waste 10 minutes going back to the blast furnace to get the hotkey.
So they're basically one key apart right now. Aerlien's doing his cold key, Blue is doing his warm key. Anything can happen though still, especially when it comes to liquid. But once you get
even
beyond
Rex.
that, that's, I mean, even Rex to a degree.
Just depends on what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Does one of them make a mistake? Does it cost them a death? Who knows? This is a race. Anything's possible.
Don't have your rations equipped or something. Yeah, you never know.
Oof. That mistake's awkward when you don't realize you do it.
I'm guilty of it.
I think everybody's done it once or twice. I did it the other day, and I went, oh, when did that happen?
We are human.
It is what it is.
Nah, I'm pretty sure Alien is an alien.
Touche.
Don't think he's human. All right, nice little trick coming up with the codec for blue, holding start and A like we do in MGS2 for certain codecs, and this one significantly speeds up the door unlock since you call Otacon before the cutscene even finishes. So Otacon's on it, lickety split, no problem. And I really like how Blue set up his menu like that. That was very cute.
I've never seen that. It's really nice.
Did he just skip the sunglasses cutscene?
He did.
Oof.
It's a race. You got time for that?
There's always time for memes. Oof. Little too close for comfort.
All right, not a bad first phase for Blue on Rex.
Nope, not at all. Very good. Well executed.
In front of you, I can finally die.
We can't do a little dance on this one. All we can do is spam A. Can't shoot!
Neither truly alive, nor truly dead.
Meanwhile, Aerlien is getting locked in the room now.
Soon it will finally end. It's no good.
And now he's free.
Blue's literally gonna stand still like a statue. Just
Yeah.
square off with Rex.
The game is kind enough to say, hey, I'm gonna put you right in that little happy spot. All you gotta do is equip your rations for the machine guns. And that's Rex. At least for Blue, Aerlien got one more shot for phase 1.
Yeah, that was a perfect phase 1 for him.
Oh yes. Doesn't get much better.
Blue is going for the sweet lottery roll. Trying to get that roll in just the right spot in the corner to do crazy damage, rolling damage on every frame of the roll. Let's see if we can get it. Nope. There's a backup. Give it another go.
A little mini one.
Yeah, little baby one.
It's something.
Rolling does do more damage than the kick, but it is pretty tricky rolling through liquid. You gotta be on the ball. And you don't want to roll off the edge if you can help it.
Just like... Yeah, this is the closest thing to an infinite you're gonna get in this game. Unfortunately, they realize the mistake. And you don't have to kick him off in Twin Snakes, which is, I think, is another nice detail.
Yeah, you can do a nice little punch loop on Extreme for Phase 2, but if you continue into Phase 3, he'll get knocked down. But that is not possible on normal.
I'll take the wheel.
Now we'll see if Blue goes for the strat he has declared that he hates, which is the knockout strat, and he is not. I am not surprised. There is a strat that can save time here if you knock out the guards.
Oof. Aerlien having a little bit of a rough time with liquid to start. Didn't even get the setup to do the lottery roll. See
He
if
was
gets
too
here.
far away.
A little bit of a baby one.
It's something.
Snake, climb in. Let's go.
Nothing that time. Getting some good rolls off, though. Liquid just wants to cooperate with his position right now. You gotta be careful here. You can't push him off or he'll just...
Here they come.
Not a bad liquid for Aerlien despite the sluggish start.
You gotta clear a path.
Goes through the first phase of escape.
Checkpoint 1.
Here they come.
And then since they had more of an emphasis on non-lethals, they put barrels on the second checkpoint here. Just so you could use Kojima's logic and say, I didn't kill them, the barrel did. Since in Big Boss you can't have any kills whatsoever on this version, unlike the original where you could have up to 25.
Looks like Aerlien's having a little bit of fun with the guards. Blue goes into the final part of the game, shooting Liquid in his golden boy hair.
I always thought this was a little, I wouldn't say more difficult, but it had an annoyance to it since the bullet speed is very different in this version than it is in the original.
Yeah, it can definitely be a little awkward.
Definitely a lot slower. Or at least it feels slower.
And the visual cues are a little bit different where you want to aim, and with the additional movement up and down, it changes things. Looks like Blue's just about to finish.
Alright.
We've got time for Blue. 56-52.
Snake.
At least on the whiteout. GG to Blue in his nice winner badge. Aerlien coming on to the liquid portion of the escape now. One very good. Makes it look so easy.
Eventually, the cues make a little bit more sense, but it still can be a little bit tricky.
Looks like Aileron's still going to get the sub-hour as well.
58
Well
on
done.
9, so a little over a minute apart. Not too bad.
No, not too bad. I think it was just one or two mistakes that let Blue take the lead and just kept going.
Yeah, Aerlien had the one continue in the laser room, so...
That was the big one.
Mm-hmm.
But very good race. Very
Yeah,
competitive.
definitely.
Like we said, this is the top two runners of this game, probably ever, so if they ever keep racing, it's always a treat. For sure.